One $5 coffee feels tiny. Do it every day for 10 years, and the cash total is $18,250 before the hidden price tag even starts. The trap is repetition. Your brain sees Tuesday, while your budget gets hit 365 times. Here is the simple math. $5 times 365 days equals $1,825 per year. That is a small vacation, a car repair, or a full emergency fund starter. Stretch that habit over 10 years. $1,825 times 10 becomes $18,250. This is why small purchases can be sneaky. The problem is rarely the one cup. The problem is the automatic loop you never price out. Every repeated dollar has two costs: what you paid and what you couldn't use it for. That second cost is opportunity cost. What else could this $5 have done? Maybe the other use is paying down a card balance. Maybe it is building a $1,000 buffer. Maybe it is just buying coffee twice a week instead. The point is choice. A habit that costs $5 today also claims $1,825 of your year before you give that money a job. That's how you get near $25,000. $18,250 spent, plus the growth you missed. Start with the base. $5 a day for 10 years equals $18,250. Try this with one recurring purchase this week. Write 3 numbers: cost per day, cost per year, cost per decade. Then the second price tag gets real. That trade-off is opportunity cost, the best thing you skip when $5 goes elsewhere. Think of the cup costing $5 today, plus whatever that $5 could have become later. Each morning, the choice is simple: coffee now or $5 into an investment account. This idea does not make coffee evil. It simply puts a label on the trade every purchase quietly makes with your future. If he buys coffee on 30 mornings this month, the first tag totals $150. That is easy to see on the receipt. The other cost is what $150 could do after years invested instead of spent. If the money buys coffee, the path is short. $5 leaves his hand, a drink appears, and the dollar story ends there. If the money goes into the account, the path keeps going. It can earn a return, and later that return can earn more. That is why opportunity cost needs time. A one-time $5 choice looks tiny. A $5 habit repeated for years looks different. The alternative matters too. If the other use is a zero-interest drawer, the second tag is small. If it reduces costly debt, the tag can be large. So compare against the strongest realistic alternative for that exact dollar: paying debt, building savings, or staying invested for a long stretch. Now the math part. How $5 a day can become a much bigger future number. Take the $5 from yesterday's choice. If it happens every day, the first number is simple. 5 times 365 equals $1,825 a year. Over 10 years, the cash you set aside adds up to $18,250. That is before any growth, just the repeated $5 choice. We'll use 7% as an average, with some years higher and some lower. If you put in $5 every day, you are really making tiny regular deposits. The math treats them like a schedule instead of one big payment. A compound interest calculator asks for a starting amount. Here, use 0. It asks for contributions. Use $5 per day or $152 per month. Then it asks for time. Put in 10 years. Then the assumed return. Put in 7% per year, compounded annually or monthly. With those inputs, you get about $25,200, though calculators handle daily deposits a little differently. That $25,200 has 2 pieces. The first piece is your own deposits. $5 per day for 10 years equals $18,250. The second piece is growth. In this example, growth is about $6,950. That is the extra from earning returns on earlier deposits. Early deposits matter most. $5 saved first gets almost 10 years, while the last barely grows. That's why the coffee total gets so big. Small daily choices compounding for 10 years. To test your own number, open any compound interest calculator. Enter contribution amount, how often, years, and assumed return. Then compare it with the purchase. That calculator only needs 3 levers: how much goes in, what return you assume, and how long the habit repeats again. Picture 3 sliders on screen. One says $5 per day. One says 7%. One says 10 years. These control estimate. Move the daily amount down to $3. At 7% for 10 years, the pile is about $15,100. Slide it back to $5 per day. Same return, same 10 years, and the estimate becomes about $25,200. Push it up to $8 per day. With the same 7% and 10 years, it reaches about $40,300. Small daily changes get multiplied by repetition. The difference between $3 and $8 is $5, repeated 3,650 times. Now leave the amount at $5 and move the time slider. 5 years at 7% is about $10,500. 10 years is about $25,200. The time doubled, and the ending number grew by more than double. The return slider matters too. 7% is an assumption, often based on long stock market averages before fees and taxes. A lower return gives a smaller pile. A higher return gives a bigger pile. Real life can bounce around year by year. The key is that the 3 inputs stack together. Amount feeds the machine, return changes the growth rate, time gives it room. This week, pick one repeating habit. Test 3 time spans in a calculator: 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years. Write the range down. Now that range needs one more warning. The $25,000 coffee number is an estimate. It depends on what happens after you save the $5. Start with the simplest version. If you save $5 every day for 10 years and earn 0%, you have $18,250. That is just the deposits. $5 times 365 days is $1,825 a year. 10 years makes $18,250 before any growth. If that money earns 5% a year, the ending pile is around $23,600. The extra growth is about $5,350. At 7% a year, the same $5 daily habit grows to about $25,200. That is where the coffee headline usually comes from. At 9% a year, the ending number is about $27,000. Same habit, same 10 years, different return, different answer. This is why one exact number can trick you. Opportunity cost is better as a range, maybe $18,250 to $27,000 here. Real life adds more moving parts. Taxes can take part of the growth. Fees can shave it down every year. Inflation matters too. If prices rise, $25,000 in 10 years buys less than $25,000 buys right now. Market swings matter as well. A 7% average does not mean you get 7% every single year in a straight line. So the useful question is not, what is the perfect number? Ask, what happens if the return is low, middle, or high? Before trusting any big coffee number, run 3 cases. Try 0%, 5%, and 7%. Then write the range beside the habit. That range is where the coffee test becomes useful. Draw 3 boxes on paper. Label them keep, reduce, and redirect choices. Put daily coffee in the keep box first. $5 a day is about $35 a week, or $1,825 a year. Over 10 years, that is $18,250 in cash. If that coffee is worth it, keep it with open eyes. For a weekday routine, the reduce box could mean 3 coffees instead of 5. That saves $10 a week, with zero dramatic lifestyle speech. $10 a week sounds tiny. Over a year, it is about $520. That is the new money in the redirect box. Redirect means the dollars go somewhere specific before random spending eats them. $520 at 7% for 10 years grows to about $7,200. That $7,200 is the second price tag. It came from changing 2 coffees a week rather than quitting the whole habit. This is the point. The coffee test should create a choice and avoid guilt. Some purchases earn their keep because they improve normal life. Other purchases are just autopilot. A $5 drink you barely notice belongs in reduce or redirect before a purchase you actually enjoy. Use 3 lines for any recurring cost. Annual cost equals price times frequency. Decade cash cost equals annual cost times 10. Future value needs a return estimate. For the coffee example, write $1,825 per year, $18,250 per decade, and maybe $25,000 under a strong compounding case. This week, pick one repeating expense, put it in keep, reduce, or redirect. The goal is seeing the full price tag before choosing.